Well, hello, and welcome to Night Child Reviews. It's a Sunday night, a very rainy Sunday night here in the UK. It is pretty cold. I just want to jump on here, really. Obviously, we're getting towards the end of the year, and it's a time when you sort of look backwards at the year that you've had and look forward to the year that you're about to experience. And it really got me thinking, what we hope for from the Prince world in 2023. I mean, ultimately, um, there's a lot of things that could happen. It's been a bit of a weird year this year, but hopefully next year is going to be, something to look forward to. So I really want to ask people's opinion. What you think. What would you hope for in 2023 for Prince? Not just talking about releases, just talking about could be anything. Could be a super deluxe. Could be an immersive experience, going all the way around the world. Could be a kind of My Name is Prince exhibition. It could be a live show. It could be Prince's music being used in TV, TV shows or things like that. I mean, it could be just anything whatsoever. I mean, it really could be anything at all. I think this is going to be one of those things where it's very much led by you, the people watching, a few people watching. That it's about what you think 2023 could be for Prince. I think we've had a really good build. We had the 1999 Super Deluxe, we had Sun Times Super Deluxe, Purple Rain. We were building some steam, and then it kind of we've got a bit stalled because of matters with the estate or whatever. So 2023 is a really good example, a really great opportunity to, really push Prince forward. I was reading an article the other day on a British newspaper, and they were talking about Whitney Houston and there's a sort of a show at the moment going around, I think it's in the UK, and it's saying how relevant her music is still 10 years on. And obviously you have that with other tours with other people, Tina Turner, kind of musicals and Michael Jackson things and things like that. And they talk about these great artists. And I feel that, Prince needs to be up there. He's that top tier of talent. So I really, want to hope that there's a big push for Prince, just like there was. Obviously, we had the Queen movie not so long ago that really pushed a lot of people to appreciate and reappreciate the Queen, but also Elvis. They obviously had the film recently, and although it only shows a certain portion of Elvis's life, it's become this big thing where people who were sort of aware of Elvis but became really big fans or rediscovered their love of Elvis's music. And I think that's something that's really, really important to happen to Prince, because Prince, is this huge artist, and I want people to enjoy that, but also people to discover him for the first time and for people to rediscover him. I think that's really important too. So hopefully 2023 will bring us some of these opportunities where we can actually, just get something going, some motivation, some kind of plan. Not just talking about music, I'm talking about whether Prince being used in films, his music being used in films, possibly documentaries. Obviously, we've got the Netflix documentary coming up, which we all hope will be amazing. And that's sort of, I think, roughly mid 2023, and that'll be fantastic. But there's so much pressure on that. There's so much kind of riding on that, and I just hope that that lives up to the expectation of that. But also, you've got to have things to go with it. You've got to have an album to go with it. You've got to have live sets to go with it. You've got to have so many live shows that could be released, but also just other things. Prince in the public consciousness, Prince in in films, in documentaries, just everywhere. I really hope that brings a heightened awareness of Prince, because at the moment I think we're slipping. We had a good few years and then a slipping, and I just don't want us to fall back. But anyway, and it might be other things. You might want certain merch or stuff like that, or other things. And that's really important. I just what I'm going to do tonight, instead of me talking, because I've got a sore throat, is what I'm going to do is I really love to hear from you. So this is going to be fantastic. So let's have a look here at the comments. Gorgeous lady. Gorgeous lady. I would like to say thank you again for the beautiful Prince artwork book from Blue. Fantastic. Fantastic. Have you got it? Have you received it yet? I hope so. I don't know how long it takes to get from Australia to where you are, but it's such an amazing book. I've got my copy here, and it is just incredible. I have a couple of framed prints of Blue's, and she captures the movement, she captures the zeitgeist of it. I just love her artwork. I think she's an incredibly nice person, and I love it. I think she's amazing, and it's a great book. It's a massive book. I mean, a book doesn't really do it justice. It's more of a collection of artworks, really. It's it's a book. It's not really. It's much more than a book. But I'm so glad you won. It's just it is incredible. It's incredible. Carlos, hello, Carlos. I've been hearing about this Netflix documentary about him. Hopefully, it will reintroduce people to him. I think you're right. I think it's really important they get this right, and I think it's really important that they put things with it as well. So you have the documentary, and then if people want to explore Prince, there's a concert on Netflix they can watch, or there's a new collection, perhaps a Hicks collection or something like that, where they can go to a new project. I really want them to watch the documentary, think, God, Prince sounds amazing. I didn't know much about Prince, and Prince sounds amazing, so I can watch this concert. Because I believe once they watch a Prince concert, that's it. They're hooked. I think they'll see that. They'll see the talent, and it'll be fantastic. So I think the Netflix thing has to be like a kind of a kickoff point, a start. And then when they watch that, they then see the Netflix documentary, they then see a concert, they then listen to an album, and that's going to get them hooked. And also it means articles will be written about Prince. There'll be reviews in newspapers, online. There'll be a big buzz. And I think that's the thing. Prince always had a big buzz about him, and I think that's crucial. So I think, I'm really looking forward to that documentary. BB, hey Jay, hello BB, James Bond theme tune. I would love. We were talking about that the other day, and it's just it's incredible, really, because I think he really could have done a great job, and there's still tracks they could use, but whether they will, I mean, at the moment, obviously we don't have a James Bond, unfortunately, but James Bond theme would be incredible. I think that sort of thing where Prince's work will be front and center. It'd be quite an unusual choice because they tend to record them, obviously, especially for the project at the time. But watch my other video. That's what I'd say about the James Bond theme tune, because I'll talk about that all the time. So yeah, logistics. I'll be shocked if Prince didn't have his own documentary in the vault. This is very true, because there was discussion a little while ago that Kevin Smith, who obviously filmed a lot of Prince during the kind of Rainbow Children era, that kind of era, and he said that he felt that that was the only sort of footage of Prince sort of not performing in the vault. But I'd be very surprised. I think there's going to be a lot in there. I think there's going to be a lot of sketches. Sometimes Prince little films, certainly did with people around Paisley Park, and I think that will be quite interesting. He sort of he made these kind of little comedy sketches, and I think also he would have filmed a lot. He filmed pretty much everything, so I'll be very interested. But for me, that's some of the interesting things about the vault. It's not just the music. I think the video vault is going to be huge. There's so many videos that he made that people haven't seen. I mean, there's a clip of the one you want to see. The one you want to see, and the one you want to see is just this glorious kind of 60s kind of fun vibe. And he obviously felt a lot for the track, recorded it, made the video, but we haven't seen it in its entirety. There's so many videos out there. There's one for P Control. There's just endless videos. And it'll be really interesting to see some of that video stuff, because I think that would be something that would be fascinating to see. And there's so much stuff in the vault. I can't believe that there wouldn't be at least some kind of documentary stuff in the vault, of even behind the scenes stuff. I mean, that's to me quite fascinating, watching Prince work behind the scenes. I mean, I don't know if there's any recording of him working in the studio, at length. That would be fascinating. It'd be fascinating thing, and I think that's really, really, really interesting. Parade Super Deluxe needs to happen. It really does. Do you know what? It's so weird with Parade, because I was looking at Dwayne Tudow's book. I'll just grab it off the shelf. Okay. And the famous Dwayne Tudow's book. And look at the size of it. Look how much Prince recorded at that time. Now, to me, there's so much abundant material with the Parade era. It's crazy that it hasn't happened yet. And you feel like almost we've been talking about it for so long that you almost feel like it should have happened already. And you always feel like, it's overdue. But then there's also talk that the Diamonds and Pearls symbol album Super Deluxe was ready, completely finished, ready to go. And then the last minute got pulled because obviously there's a bit of a change with the family and the company, but that's a real shame. It's a real shame, because I think there's two projects there which are probably quite well developed. Certainly the Diamonds and Pearls is, from what I hear, pretty much ready. We need to get that out. There's no question. There's so much waiting to come out. It's just crazy. Gorgeous lady. I have really gotten a crystal clear idea about Prince from Susan Rogers. I've listened to numerous interviews, and she has the most depth knowledge about Prince. Susan Rogers is amazing. I mean, it was interesting to me how she would find these solutions when Prince was quite a demanding, recording artist, and Susan Rogers would find these ways to make these things work. She was very kind of she had like a background of making these things work and trying new things and making it happen. And I think the thing about Susan Rogers, she's very, she gives a lot of interviews. She talks about, Prince's work ethic, about how he records certain tracks. And I think that's really important, that people come forward and talk about the way Prince worked, because, ultimately that's part of the Prince story. And Susan Rogers was there. And I think, there's some experiences that she's had when she's been, there, and just her and Prince, and, she's the only witness to that we can talk to. And I think that's crucial. So I think, I think that's interesting. I think, obviously Susan Rogers writes a lot as well. So we'll see. I think we'll see more from her in 2023. I think there's, there's stuff she's working on. And yeah, I think that's the thing. You think of how much detail. I mean, this is like, 2 years worth for one book. So, you imagine how much Susan Rogers has seen. Oh, you received the book. Oh, fantastic. Oh, fantastic. I'm always worried. And so is Blue, because she said she's always worried when she sends it. She's like, until it gets there, she can't relax. Brilliant. Fantastic. Oh, Diana, how long will it take the estate to hear us? We want film. We want to see the shows so many of us never got the chance to see. I believe a new audience will be generated from that. I cannot agree with that more. I cannot agree with that more. Oh, it drives me mad that there's so many tours where there's not an official document. You've got, I could go through millions, but there's so many tours. The new tour, the Act 2 tour, the London 21 Nights tour, the Hit and Run tour in 2014. There's so many, and it drives me spare, because you're right. If people saw those films, if they saw those concerts, I think they would become fans. I really think they would rediscover it. Now, part of it was because, Prince didn't like stuff on social media, but also because he wanted people to come and see him live. But there was also a lot of tours that they don't have an official document, an official DVD or official Blu-ray or streaming or whatever. And it drives me spare, because there's so many tours, and each tour deserves a full document. There's no question whatsoever. It really does. I just think it's so crucial. And I really want that to happen. I couldn't agree with you more. I think in a sense That's the area where the estate have got the most work to do, the most catch up to do, because the live performances are what really hook people, as well as the music. The live performances, that's what does it. And I think, if you want to get new fans, then that's what you need to do. And I think we need to have that happen. The estate answer to it was giving us the Purple Rain live in Syracuse. Well, this is actually a very good point. This is a very good point. There's so many tours and so many get overlooked. I think of the Love for One Another tours, kind of, that kind of era, the kind of Emancipation-esque era. You think of, like say the Act 2 tours, the new tours. There's so many tours. Welcome to Canada, you name it. There's so many tours that, really need highlighting and need a release. We can't, like I said, keep going back to Purple Rain. Purple Rain's great. It's fantastic. But even then, Behind the Rain, the sort of Makings of Rain, just stuff like that. Just broaden out. Don't make Prince about one thing. And that's you're right. It's really important to get the kind of, all the tours have a document. Prince filmed everything. I was at 21 Nights in London, and you could see, I was on screens, he was filming everything. There was a cameraman right close to him in 2014 for the Hit and Run tour, filming him from a few feet away. That footage is out there. They obviously recorded the whole show. Let's get that out there, That's the thing, Gorgeous lady. A Prince movie is what I want to see more than anything. This is the point. You see what Bohemian Rhapsody has done recently to create, hype and rediscovery of Queen's work. You see the Elvis movie. You see the musicals of Tina Turner or Whitney Houston or whatever, and to see, something, a Prince movie, whatever form it takes, just to kind of get him in the public consciousness. Because for some people, I don't know why. I don't know what this is, but some people Prince was sometimes pushed away a little bit. I've talked to various people, and there's loads of different reasons for that. Some people, their parents wouldn't let them listen to Prince when they were younger because of, the kind of sexual content or things like that. So I understand that, but I feel that Prince, it's this big artist, this genius, and he doesn't always get the kind of treatment perhaps that other artists do get, and he needs to be up there. He needs to be a kind of talked about phenomenon on a weekly basis, and I think that's a really important point. And I think, we hopefully something will happen. I want it to be done well. I want it to be done, obviously with great respect and care, but let's get it out there. Every time you can introduce someone to, Prince, then brilliant. I mean, it's just so happy to do that. I really am. Casper, hello. I'd like a Netflix documentary and Love Sexy and Parade Super Deluxe. Fair enough. Love Sexy would be great. Can you imagine what you could do with Love Sexy? Would you put it with the Black Album? You can have light and dark, good and bad, good and evil, that kind of dichotomy of Prince. And that would look visually amazing. The Love Sexy and Black Album together. How cool would that look? That would be so interesting. And Love Sexy, there's a lot of shows that were filmed. They were amazingly elaborate, expensive stage shows. So that would be fantastic. I love Love Sexy. When I first got into Prince, it was one of the first concerts I saw. And Love Sexy really, I wore it out. I actually had a VHS and I wore it out twice. Just wore it out. I mean, there's a section, there's so many great bits in it, in the Love Sexy live show, but some of the sections there, the Let's Go Crazy performance there is just phenomenal. There's so much great stuff. Anastasia. Oh, it's just, Love Sexy would be fantastic. I would be something I would love to have personally. I think Love Sexy is top 3 for me, definitely. Carlos, I would love to see a Prince biopic or even a super deluxe of Dirty Mind or Controversy. And a movie would make me research him more than I already do. That's interesting, actually. Controversy gets looked doesn't get looked at enough. I love Controversy. It's one of my favorite albums. I really love Controversy. I think it's got some amazing songs on there. Just sounds like no one else. It's just superb. So yeah, I mean, a Prince biopic. I suppose the trouble is, who do you get to play Prince? It's so difficult. I suppose, because no one can obviously perform and move like Prince, but I suppose, there are people who very much look, there's still people who try to sort of look similar to Prince. Obviously there are people who do that, but I just, if they get that right, do you know what? It wouldn't even have to, I mean, I don't know whether I'd want it to be his whole career, which I think would be impossible to put in a film because it's just too much. Or maybe it'd just be like a segment of it. I mean, if you think about it, if you followed Prince's story from when he was young, not very well off, very turbulent family life, all the way up to, say, when he performed at the Super Bowl in front of hundreds of millions of people. I mean, that's a hell of a story. When you see someone, ride that kind of, upward trajectory, just phenomenal. I mean, that would be, that would be amazing. I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. I really would. And I want excitement. Do you know what? There's a thing that when Prince was here, I would always feel a kind of nervous energy because you never knew what Prince was going to do. Did you? He could have clicked his fingers and said, "Right, I'm putting out this single. I'm putting out this album. I'm announcing a tour." And with the hit and run tours, he would just announce it at 12 o'clock noon, and it'd be that night. And there's always this energy, and you never knew he was going to drop Hard Rock Lover or he was going to make an announcement, especially when he was on social media. You just never knew what he was going to do. So I think that's really interesting. I think that's really, we want the excitement. We want the buzz, don't we? We don't want it to be, nothing happening. We want things to happen. And the estate is as settled as it's going to be by the look of it for a while, with about 50% owned by the family and about 50% owned by Primary Rave, roughly. But you're right, excitement. We want excitement. We want a buzz. We want people talking about Prince. We want, oh my God, this project's coming out. This thing's coming out. This is coming out. Look at the Netflix documentary. Look at the Super Deluxe. You're right. It's excitement. I mean, you put it really well, actually. I think really well. Prince music is art. You're right. There are songs in 2022 that are 1,000 times worse than Darling Nikki. You are right. I mean, it's mad to look back now at some of the things that were very controversial at the time. But there are still obviously some Prince songs which I suppose would be considered shocking, but they're always done with humor. They're always done with passion. They're always done with, Prince would create these songs that just, they're incredible. I mean, sometimes I think, if someone was an artist, they created 3 or 4 of Prince's songs or 2 or 3 of Prince's songs, that would be a phenomenal career. Prince produced thousands, and it's just, I can't get my head around, all he did. I really can't. The breaking down of his revolution period and building up the Sign of the Times band would be the story I'd like to see in a movie. Ooh, that's interesting. That'd be quite interesting. Yeah. Like I say, you could just focus on that aspect of it. I mean, that was that's actually quite an interesting thing because it's a very turbulent time in Prince's life, both professionally, musically, and personally. And there's a lot going on then. There's a lot of relationship issues, a lot of musical change, a lot of thought, and obviously he, pretty soon after that went through the kind of Love Sexy Black Album experience as well. And that's a really interesting point. I think that would be quite amazing because Prince at that time, I think, he had to finish that tour, that parade tour. There was a lot of friction and just, he had to almost start again and reinvent himself. And that was something that Prince did really better than anyone. I mean, really, he would just, every year it would be a different look, a different thing. And that constant creativity is a sign of just such a genius. Anastasia is my favorite Prince song. I've got to say there's so much I find in that song. there's a part where where Prince sings, if only I could learn to love, you find it closer to something, closer to your higher self. And it's just that pleading, that pleading for answers. And that's what I love about Prince. He searched in public, philosophically, he searched for answers. He was very open about, he was searching for meaning. He talked about God. He talked about passion. He talked about sex. He talked about loss. And Anastasia is a really open searching of the soul, and I think that it's an incredible song to do that and to put it to record. And it sounds every time like he's just trying to work out the answers to the meaning of life, trying to work out those things. And I don't think anyone could do a song like Anastasia other than Prince. I really don't. I don't. Thank you, by the way. I just want to say a big thank you, because I had no idea what I was doing tonight, and I'd been feeling ill for like a couple of days, and I thought, I just love to come on and talk to the greatest community there is. I really do. I love you guys. I really do. Justin, I want Warner Brothers to re-release every single they originally released to digital download and streaming. It's an actual crime that the long version of Mountains isn't officially available. Do you know what? This is something we talked about before, that I don't understand why they don't do like an NPG MC, like an MPG music club, or a website where you can go to and you can download these things. Because first of all, a lot of people nowadays, you want a digital download or streaming. I'm not saying the physical stuff shouldn't be available, but the downloads and streaming are really, really important. And you're right. The very first thing the estate probably should have done years ago was make sure everything's available. Everything that Prince did, even if it's only digitally, in a sense, you can go to a website and download it and pay for it. That's brilliant. There's so much stuff, so many maxi singles, so many other songs, just extended versions, like you said, long version of Mountains, things like that, where you just think the first thing you need to do is get all his work out there. It's ridiculous, really, because these are quite easy wins. The estate owns, the music. They can put it on a website tomorrow. You can go to the website. I mean, I think it's Bruce Springsteen does that, and you can just go by each year, and you can kind of choose a live show from each year. And that's the thing. You can just pick a live show and download it from his website. And I think something like that for Prince would be absolutely phenomenal, because there's really no reason why those things aren't available, at one website where you can go and you can get. And you know what? Also, we've said this before, but if they don't provide it, the bootleggers will. So you might as well have that money. You might as well bring that money to keep Paisley Park going and various other things. Put it on a website, get the things out there. There should be nothing. You're absolutely right. There should be nothing that Prince released officially that you can't go to the official website and download. That's what it should be like. There's no question. No question. Elusive, Prince could have done anything in his life. It's true. I think Prince is a phenomenal person. It sounds mad to say, but Prince is a phenomenal person, even if you took the music away. It sounds mad because you can't have Prince without the music, but I'm saying he was phenomenal in so many areas. He would have been an incredible person. I'm just personally thankful he chose music. But yeah. I was at both piano and microphone shows at Paisley. The concerts were filmed, and would love to see professional video of the last shows. Oh, this should have been the first thing they did. It really should, because you're right. They were professionally filmed, professionally recorded. This should have been the first thing they put out, because there's a poignancy to that tour. And the way Prince talked about his father, the way Prince talked about vanity, the way Prince talked about his early days, his childhood, and how he became an artist. It's a really crucial part of Prince. And you're right, that should have been the first thing. I mean, they put the piano and microphone 83, which obviously is confused matters now, because the general public might not know the difference, but they're completely different things. The piano and microphone 1983 is a demo, an outtake, whereas this is a live, professionally recorded show which showcased all the songs from his career. And not only that, he chose some different songs to really work through beautifully on the piano. And I think also it reinforces how good Prince was on the piano, because I still get people, and this is mad. I still get people who can't believe that Prince plays guitar so well. They see um, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They see While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and they go, "God, I can't believe Prince played the guitar so well." And I was thinking, he does, and the piano, and keyboards and drums, and you're right. I think that would be a beautiful, poignant project, and that should have been released straight away. That should have been the very first thing they did. It really should. I just, couldn't agree more. Carlos, I would also love to see the controversy of Darling Nikki depicted in a film, considering the context of the song's mix of religion and sex. I mean, that's the thing, actually. I mean, that's quite a good point. That it was such a scandal with people forget now with the Parents Music Resource Centre and Tipper Gore. The controversy, these filthy 15, these tracks, of which obviously Prince had Darling Nikki and Sugar Walls, obviously, which Sheena Easton performed. And there was a Vanity track. It wasn't to do with Prince, but it was Vanity was in the mix. And, it created a kind of a big, almost hysteria, about people hearing these tracks. And I think the controversy, there was hearings in Washington. People were outraged. It was disgraceful. I've listened to this, and I think you're right. I think that would have been really interesting to see, and to see how the record companies behind the scenes felt about it, and how Prince felt about it, and how, how did Warner's feel. And that would be really interesting. That would be actually a great hook to put a film on. I think you're right. Diana, artists today need to learn how to deliver a performance on stage. I miss the drama Prince brought to the stage. Do you know what? The thing is, Prince learned his craft. He worked incredibly hard. And one of the things about Prince, I think, there's so many things. One of the things that was key to his success was that he would watch pretty much every performance he did back on, on screens, on recordings, and improve. He would watch, a performance, and we would all think, "Oh God, it's an amazing performance. That's brilliant." But he would watch it back and think, "How can I improve it? How can I make it better? How can I make, should I be standing there? Should I be singing this? What about if I do this?" And he would look back on it and he would review it. And he worked a lot of that work in the early days. I don't think people appreciate how much he put into his stage persona. I mean, he wasn't. So when he first started, he wasn't, the showman he became. He worked for that. That doesn't just happen. And to do that and to hone your art and to perfect your art takes enormous determination and practice. But it also takes a huge amount of skill, because Prince, as he famously said, "My mic is on." This isn't tape. This is real. And he's a musician at heart, an absolute musician to the core of his soul. And I think you're right. I think the thing about Prince, every time he sung, I believed in what he was singing. He might have been singing a song from 25, 30 years ago, but when he was singing it, he felt it. It felt like that to me anyway, and the way he performed it. And it just, I think you're right. I think the trouble is, sometimes nowadays, I think people are thrust very early into live performance. They don't build up artists anymore. They don't give them 2 or 3 albums to say, "Well, you got this album to try to work out who you want to be, and then we'll make another album, try and get some hits." It's like, you've got to have success. You've got to have it now. And there's no building up and honing of that talent. And Prince worked on that talent over years and really perfected it. And I think that's something, you're right, that's a lot of, I don't mean all people, and I don't mean this in a negative sense, but a lot of performance now is about pyrotechnics and imagery and things like that, whereas Prince perfected his talent, his work. And I think that's something that, we don't see enough. And I think his legacy as a live performer is why it's so important to get those concerts out there. Those concerts just need to be out there. They really do. Prince would have to be played by an unknown newcomer. It would take a special breakout type of situation. Capturing his spirit without being a parody would be tough to balance. I think you're right. It's difficult because, like you say, anybody who is already known comes with not baggage, but a kind of expectation of who they are. There are people who can style themselves to look certain like Prince. That could, like Mark Anthony, people like that. But that's not enough on its own. You've got to have, you're right, his spirit, and that's going to be very, very difficult. I wondered. See, I don't know how people felt about the Queen movie. I mean, obviously, Rami Malek did a phenomenal job, got the Oscar, and he really perfected that routine. But I think, could someone do that with Prince? Could someone perfect a Prince performance? If they really studied it and copied it, and it's a hell of a job. I mean, it is. I don't wish that task on anyone, because that's something that is just going to be incredibly difficult to do. I think Prince deserves a movie, but choosing what aspect of his life to focus on, choosing what time period, and choosing who to do it, tough job. Oh, sorry, click on twice. Gorgeous lady, computer generated imagery Prince biopic. God, that'd be controversial. I don't know. But computer generated. Do you know what the thing is nowadays? It's so difficult. It's so difficult because the thing is, we're going to notice every mistake they make, aren't we? We're going to notice everything in a film that isn't right. But I suppose, in a sense, a big film is not just about the people who really know Prince's work. It's also about the kind of wider audience. Like, I'm sure I don't know, but I'm sure there are Queen fans who are looking at Bohemian Rhapsody and going, "Oh, this isn't right," or "This isn't right." But I don't envy. People having to make that decision. No Machinist, hello. The greatest performer ever. Yeah. And you know what? He needs people to kind of see those live performances, every tour, because every tour was different. Every tour had a different dynamic, when you compare something like Purple Rain to Sign of the Times to the new tour, you look at One Night Alone, very different. Piano and Microphone, very different. Hit and Run tours, very guitar heavy. Every tour was different, and that's the really important thing. I am so glad someone mentioned this. I hope and pray that the Prince immersive experience will travel around the US and world so people could discover Prince in a physical environment. Two things I want to say about this. First of all, traveling around the world is really important. Over half of Prince fans are outside America. And whether that means when you have events at Paisley Park, you live stream them, or whether it means things tour not just in America, that is crucial. But second of all, you're right, the physical environment. I saw the My Name is Prince exhibition in London a few years back. And to go there really hit me, to see Prince's clothes. And it's weird because I knew he was small, but he's really small. And to see those beautiful clothes and to see the effort, thought that went into them, and then to see they had live performances of, I say live, on screen of the Super Bowl, and it just hit me. I got quite emotional, and I think interacting with that environment and being around Prince fans was just fantastic. I really hope the immersive experience travels, because when I saw the My Name is Prince exhibition in London, it created such a buzz, because there were the people who were hardcore Prince fans going to it, but there were also people wandering by. This was in the Millennium Dome, I think it was, and they were wandering by and seeing it and going, "Oh, that's that," and it's creating a buzz, and people were talking about Prince. So you're absolutely right. We need to embrace the whole, international Prince fandom, because there are huge amounts of fans everywhere across the globe, whether it's, Britain or France, or the huge following in Holland, Germany, Spain, America, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, you name it. It's just, there's so much that they really should, Justin, thinking about re-establishing Prince's legacy, an album of covers might do the trick. So many different studio and live covers from Shania Twain to Radiohead. That's an interesting idea, because there was an album years ago called, I think it was called Symbolism, I think. And they would show, they had an album of songs by Prince covered by other artists. They had Head and Ice-T did that. Obviously, Joe Cocker with 5 Women, and Tina Turner, Let's Pretend We're Married, and lots of other ones. And that's quite interesting, especially if you update that. Like you said, if you update that to include lots of a range of bands, that could be really good, actually, because you would have a situation where perhaps there's lots of artists, new artists who are quite, popular at the moment, and they would cover a Prince track, and then people would go off and discover that album and really get into it. So you could have a whole range of different artists, some older artists, some bands, some individual singers actually, do that. And by doing that, you could tap into a brand new audience. That's actually a really good idea. That's a really interesting idea. You could do that, and as a tribute to Prince, but also as a gateway into Prince's work. And I think that's really interesting, because Chris Cornell obviously did a cover of Prince, and I think just some of these covers can be amazing. But also they kind of bring in the fans of that artist to listen to it and perhaps get into Prince's work. So I think that's a really good idea. I think, yeah. And do you know what? That would be quite easy to do, because you're only asking each artist to record, a song or two. So it's not difficult to put together. I mean, you could put that together quite quickly, really. Everybody wins, Yeah. Do you know what? That's a really good idea. A really good. Yes. Thank you. I think that would be really interesting. I think that's no one's mentioned merchandise. No one seemed to want more merchandise. I thought there would be loads of people demanding more merchandise now. What do you? There's also TV shows, like, say, using Prince's music in TV shows, in movies. You got to do it respectfully. You've got to do it in a nice, respectful way, not to exploit it. But equally, by getting that out there, I think that could make a big difference. And one of the main things is for the estate to engage with the fans, talk to the fans, communicate with the fans. If you've got a plan, let us know the plan, and just use those people in the community, because everybody here knows so much about Prince and knows so many things. And you know what? You all can spread news and things about Prince far faster than any advert can, through social media, or through talking about it or buying it. The network between Prince fans is crazy. It's amazing. So, use the community. That's what the community are there for, and embrace them and talk to them, because those are the people who have so many ideas. And I just use them, really. Prince in the band room for hours, recording with his portable cassette player. Do you know what? I'd love to see, one of my kind of holy grails is to see Prince record a song from start to finish, to have the idea, or to write the idea, or just to go into the studio and record it from start to finish, and watch the recording of each instrument, the vocals, the overdubs, everything, just to watch that and to see him perfect and improve the song. Because the thing I find about Prince is, not only did he create these great songs, he always got the best out of those songs. He produced them really well, in the sense that he got the most out of them. He got the most out of those ideas. You could have the ideas that Prince has, which would be phenomenal, but also he knew how to get the right thing for each track. Because some tracks, they don't need a big blazing guitar solo. They need something that perfectly suits the mood and tenor of the song, and Prince could do that so well. He just knew exactly, not just for him, but for other artists that he he worked with. But I just think he has such a phenomenal ability to do that, and it's just incredible. I'm still waiting for my Lotus Flower t-shirt. Do you know what? I'd love it if that turned up now. If they just gave the Lotus Flower t-shirts to the first sort of few thousand people who responded to the website, I think that would be great. I think that's very true. The 1-800 New Funk website. Do you know what? Yes. God, that's the point. Prince was innovative not only in music, but in the way he dealt with his business. In the way he dealt with the music business, from the slave era to working out different distribution methods to going independent, and do you know what? Selling directly to the fans, because he wanted no barrier. You could just sell directly to the fans, and I think that's something that perhaps I think the estate are behind on. You look at, let's say, Bruce Springsteen's website, you look at other people's website, you go on there and you say, right, I want to look at this year, here's the live shows, we can download them. Best way to do it. Have a website, have everything on there, a one-stop shop where you can buy everything. You can buy every album, every single, every live show, get it on there. And do you know what? Sell directly to the fans. And in this day and age, you'd make a fortune. I'm sure the Springsteen stuff does. So, I mean, just get it out there. It just frustrates me because there's so much great stuff. I don't know about you, but I sometimes will watch a tour I haven't watched for a long time, or listen to a live recording, and I'll think, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. More people should see that. You see people on YouTube putting up lots of shows, and I think that's phenomenal. I mean, often they get taken down, sometimes they don't, but the estate could be doing that. The estate could be putting it up. Then do you know what? Even if you've got a recording of a show and it's not the greatest recording, or there's only so much you can do with it. I'm bearing in mind, I'm sure the estate employ the best engineers and the best kind of technical people, but even then, just put it on the website for free. If you don't feel it's you can't get it to a sufficient quality, you still want to see it. I really do. Edgar in the house. Hello, Edgar, sir. The estate selling music directly to fans is indeed way overdue. You're absolutely right. There's no reason why they can't do that. It just seems such an obvious thing to do, and it's something that everybody wins, and it cuts out anything else. I mean, Prince obviously played about with different things, whether it was peer-to-peer, whether it was just sort of through websites. And I think just at least have a website, have a music club. I'd be happy to pay a subscription, things like that. I'd be happy to pay. If you think about if I think about what I get from Prince, I'd be happy to pay like a monthly, to get new Prince stuff. So I think, just go straight to the community, and you've got that regular income, and that's the kind of one of the great things from a business perspective you want regular supporters, people who pay every month. Like people obviously they pay for Spotify, or they pay for Netflix or whatever. Having that and paying for that is brilliant. People pay nowadays on social media. They pay for loads of different things. They pay a few pounds each month to creators and to singers and various other. Just do that to Prince, and they can create this kind of collection of people. Who will follow Prince's work. Steve Atkinson, he must have thought that he'd done it all. I believe he had a real curiosity about the afterlife and no fear of dying. That's it. Last lyric on Hit and Run 2. I mean, when you think of, like you say, you think of the first words on his first album, For You, and you think about That's It. It's got that huge poignancy. I think Prince had an enormous faith, but also, as Edgar pointed out, starting for you with my life with you, I share. It's a kind of it's that declaration. I mean, he was only very, very young at that time, but he had the declaration of, I'm going to live my life through my music, and I want you to come along for this journey. I want you to share this journey. And that's not only a very mature thing to do at such a young age when he was a teenager, but it's a very brave thing to do, because Prince shared his, passions, his loss, his agony, his fun, his funk, his joy, his despair, through life. And he wrote some heartbreaking songs about loss. You think a comeback and things like that. And he did share his life with us. And I think it's very easy to forget that when you're a very, very, very public figure in some ways. I mean, Prince was a bit of a dichotomy because he was a very well-known person, but also he's very mysterious in some ways. But you give so much of your life out there and you put it out there. And I always say, if you want to know Prince, look through his music. And I think that's so true, so true. And he just seemed so fearless. And it's hard. I can't imagine living with the level of fame that Prince had. It must be extraordinary. And he lived pretty much from the time he was a teenager onwards with an enormous amount of that. But yeah, it's amazing, really, when you think of his career trajectory. And like Edgar said, it's like a opening and a closing of a chapter, and it just there's a lot of these things in Prince's career, things that just seem to come together, seem to just align. It's very hard to describe. So I got very deep then. I don't know why. Sorry. Prince started playing the piano at a young age. He honed his talent faster. I mean, he was phenomenal, weren't he? I mean, just in terms of how he started and how he began that. And you know what? That's the thing. I mean, if you do any documentary about Prince, where do you start? Really? I mean, how far back do you go? That's the thing. I mean, you could easily go back to his childhood. Key events in his childhood really shaped him. And really, a number of them only came out kind of artistically, in the Purple Rain era and the film and various. I mean, obviously, there's a bit of artistic license, but a lot of those thoughts. And you think of When Doves Cry, and you think of that's actually quite a kind of a dark, deep song. And when you talk about his father and about his mother, he's dealing with these existential issues of who am I, and what's my place in the world, and what is my relationship with the people who brought me into this world. And it's how far back do you go? Do you go back to him being a child and what shaped him? Because his childhood shaped him, living in Minneapolis shaped him, his amazing talent shaped him. But the thing is, you can have enormous talent. I mean, it's very, very, very rare to have enormous talent such as Prince, but you have to also have the work, the discipline. And Prince had that. He he had that discipline, he had that drive, that determination, that creativity. And that's something that he, as a person, always seemed so ahead of his years. I mean, when you listen to For You and you think how young he was, he always seemed way more mature than anyone I've ever met. It's just incredible. I mean, he wasn't an artist who lots of people nowadays, I think, at that age would just go off the rails, because it's just, once they had success, they'd be like, oh, and Prince, it was very different for Prince. It was what he did day in, day out. It really was. BB, Crystal Ball must have some videos attached to it. The evolution of this album, where he took his time remixing it and playing with the genres, is fascinating and must have more gems. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'd be very surprised if they didn't. He would always have these kind of impulses where he would film a video, he would remix this, and you never knew what was going to come out and what wasn't going to come out. I think that I mean, that's an incredibly interesting era. And again, I wonder how much the general public know about these kind of releases. You know, how much they really know about it. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know a huge amount of casual Prince fans. You know, I know people who are really into Prince, and I know people who kind of are not into Prince. Occasionally you meet people who are sort of, you know, they're aware of the hits, you know, people who are aware of like Purple Rain, When Doves Cry, Raspberry Beret, maybe Kiss. But I'd be really interested to know how much they know about Prince, you know, how much they know about his musicianship, guitar playing, piano playing, live performances, how much they know about his career. I'd love to know that. And that'd be something that'd be really interesting to me. And I think that's also a key audience in the sense of what Netflix and other films might tap into, you know. Modern Air. Hello, Modern Air. Modern Air is in. Prince created his own bells and whistles. He really did. He it's quite interesting how he had I felt like he almost had not a plan, but he just had a very clear idea of what he was doing. And it's weird because he said there were times when he would create 6 or 7 things and only finish one, and this burst of creativity, but it always looked like he sort of had a plan. He knew what he was doing. And it's when you think of the time he spent creating songs for himself, the times he spent creating songs for other people, the time he spent designing helping to design his clothes, his live shows, his, you know, his business dealings. I don't know how he did it in 24 hours a day. I'm convinced Prince had like a secret Prince day when there was like 50 hours in a day or more. I can't see how that could have done. You know? Prince passed at the top of his game musically and maintained his image as a rock star must have been difficult. Dyeing his hair, applying makeup on a 55-year-old face must have been tough. I mean, I'm younger than 55, just no, and I can't imagine the pressure. I mean, I know Prince had it all his life, but I don't know if that makes it worse in the sense of, you know, the pressure. I mean, I can't imagine. There's a line, a Prince lyric where he talks about, you know, it's a grown folks' job. You know, until you're in front of 30,000, you'll never know. And I think that's true when you're performing in front of thousands of people. When you have that scrutiny into life, I think that's why he loved Minneapolis so much. You know, he wasn't getting paparazzied, you know, to the extent if he lived in London or if he lived in New York or if he lived in LA or something. Obviously, he got filmed when he went out, but he didn't get that kind of intrusion to his day-to-day life in Minneapolis. I think that was crucial for him. I think one of the best things he did in some ways was stay true to Minneapolis in that sense that you can get away from that to an extent and work, but the pressure, you know, the expectation, the work rate, just the sheer physical travel, the sheer creativity. I mean, Prince, as we know, didn't sleep a great deal. You know, he worked and worked and worked. There were people who said that, you know, they would revolve engineers around him. They would do 10 hours, then someone else would do 10 hours, and somebody else would do 10 hours with 30, 40 hour sessions, and they'd throw their clothes away at the end. And Prince would just be, you know, he would be just working phenomenally. And I think there was a bit where he said, you know, people were offering him food, but he wouldn't eat because it made him sleepy. And I think it's just this, he sometimes said, I think it was to Mavis Staples, I might be wrong, but he said that sometimes when he felt tired, that actually helped his creativity because he was a bit looser and a bit more free thinking. And it's interesting because he pushed himself. I mean, he worked harder, you know, as a 50-year-old than I know anybody who works as a 20-year-old. You know, I heard there was a Prince, Mr. Ants. I was going to say, before I say anything else, me and Mr. Ants are doing a Prince Christmas quiz between Christmas Day and between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. We'll announce that shortly, but we're doing a quiz. our yearly Prince quiz. It's going to be fantastic to be able to do that and to be able to ask questions and see if we can get some crazy answers. It's I also want to thank Mr. Ants. I also don't want him to make the questions too difficult. You make them very difficult. I don't know the answers. It's terrible. It's very embarrassing. Anyway, sorry. Heard there was a Prince medley on Strictly. For those, I don't know. I'm explaining this to America. I'm sure you have. Do you have Strictly Come Dancing in America? I'm sure you do. Probably. Strictly Come Dancing. Although not a fan of the show, after thinking about this one, it's one of the top viewed programs in the UK. It really is huge in the UK and a great way to spread his music. That's interesting. I didn't see that. I don't know what tracks what they chose, but that's quite interesting because that is, one of the biggest viewed shows in the UK, and they often have medleys of different artists, and having a Prince, that's interesting because that might remind people of Prince. Because the thing about Strictly Come Dancing, I mean, I don't watch it myself, but I know it's very much a family show. There's people, all generations can watch it. Kids watch it, grandparents watch it, everyone in between watches it. It's huge. So I think that's quite interesting. That's what I'm talking about. One of those things where you can do something that doesn't cost you anything, and pushes that. I mean, I don't know, because sometimes on Strictly, I don't know if they do that in America, but sometimes on Strictly UK, they don't use the original artist. Sometimes they do medleys and they just use like somebody else sings it, sort of a different version. But I don't know if they did that or not. But that's really interesting to see, if people kind of dug out their Prince albums or went online and watched a Prince video after that. I'd be quite interested to know that. That'd be very interesting. You're right. It is mostly or nothing, isn't it? Prince fans are either hardcore or no fan at all. I think that's true. I think I don't know really many artists where people have the level of knowledge that they have in the Prince community. They know people don't just know Prince; they really know about Prince. Every album, every track, every single, every live show, every fact. And I find out new things every day on Facebook, Twitter, online. I just find out new things about Prince, new things he's done. And it's phenomenal. Prince has this kind of, I think it's because he's such a prolific artist and such a complicated artist. But it's people tend to really go into Prince. He's one of those artists, one of those geniuses. Just you could just spend a lifetime talking about. If we're talking about 1986, 1987 Crystal Ball, well, if you look at the tour program and the recent Super Deluxe Sign of the Times photography Jeff Katz released, it's clear Prince was actually performing on the stage. And since when I first saw that tour program or tour book, the photographs of Prince performing on it in different outfits, even then they must have been filmed. Interesting. See, that's the thing. There's so much footage out there, isn't there? I mean, how much? I mean, I presume they must by now know what they've got. I just love to know some of that video footage. I'm really excited about. And you know what? Some things, this sounds mad, but they don't have to be a big release. They don't have to be things that you even have to pay for. If they find a video and they say, well, it's just a video on its own, do what you can to kind of make it as good a quality as you can and put it out there, put it on a YouTube channel, put it on your website and say, look, there's a new Prince video you haven't seen before. Come to the website. And whilst you're there, they can sell whatever they want to sell to you, but just get it out there, because it does nobody any good sitting in the vault. let's go for it. So look, there are many different levels of Prince interest, and if you step deeper into those levels, you'll find more meaning and more messages hidden that are yet to be discovered. Prince was something. He really was. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. I mean, you're right. There are some things that Prince does I didn't know for years. The illusions he was making, the kind of notes he was, the kind of things, the themes he was hitting. In a sense, there were nods to this. He was paying an homage to this. He was kind of stylized to this, and it's just, there's so many levels and analysis. I've seen people do scholarly work on Prince, where they've studied his music, his clothes, his contributions to philanthropy, his activism, you name it. And there's so much that you could go into Prince. And I think sometimes also I'll listen to a song and it will mean something different to me depending when I listen to it, or what's going on in my life. Or sometimes I'll just listen to a song 20 or 30 years, it's recorded 20 or 30 years ago, and it will just hit me in a different way. And a lyric will mean something else. And often Prince's lyrics and the depth, just, there's so much going on that it's easy to miss huge amounts. It really is. It really is. I have no idea. I know there's a lot of still controversy about this. Obviously, if anybody knows Peace Love's channel, shout out to Peace Love. She's always been incredibly sweet to me. It's just amazing. Her and Serena, but Peace Love on her channel talks about the investigation, about what happens. I think there are some things possibly, we'll never know the inside of Prince's mind. That's why I was so gutted that we didn't get the full autobiography, because you read the autobiography and then it just stops, obviously, and it's such an abrupt stop, because obviously, Prince passed away, and it just, you're understanding Prince's mind and you're understanding his thoughts, and then it just stops and it's just taken away. And that's the voice we never got to hear, that kind of inner voice. I mean, you could argue that Prince's life is shared with us through his music, but to also hear it in his own words from that biography or biography, and then just it cuts out, you don't get to hear what he felt about certain things and how his life went on. It's difficult to know what goes on in anybody's mind. You could be face to face with someone and not know. And if I'm allowed, this is cheeky, but I just want to say, this is a time of year when for some people it's not the easiest time of year. Obviously, it's a lot of family time, and some people it's a really great time. But certainly in the UK, I don't know if it's the same in America, there's a lot of difficulties at the moment, a lot of cost of living issues, a lot of hard stuff for a lot of people going. And if you can help anyone, even in a small way, just give them a phone call, just check they're okay. Just if you can help somebody in some small way, that would be something that would be incredible. Prince said, obviously, that compassion is an action word with no boundaries and all that kind of thing. And I think with just no limit to how you can help people. And I think just little small things, love for one another and things like that, just little acts can make the big difference. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but at this time of year, that's going to mean a lot. It's going to mean a lot. Let's have a look. Ooh, Prince was too much to be covered in some film from Netflix. That's true. I don't know why we're putting faith in the network, because already from several documentaries, the thing is, I don't know exactly how long it's going to be or anything like that, but you're right. It can't ever cover. I mean, you could do a documentary, 20, 30 hours on 1 year easily. You can't cover it all, and it's always going to feel rushed. The thing that bothers me in most documentaries is I don't know if it's the same in America, but in the UK, most documentaries about Prince do this. They talk about his childhood a little bit. They talk about 1999. They talk about Purple Rain for ages. They then talk a little bit about Sign of the Times, maybe Diamonds and Pearls, and then they just go, oh, and he did some other stuff. That's it. They just, the last 2 decades of his career, they forget about. They don't really mention it. They just sort of just get to Purple Rain, a little bit about that, maybe a bit about Sign of the Times, maybe a bit about Diamonds and Pearls, and then they just go, oh, and then there's some other stuff. And we have to get away from that focus, you know. But you're right. I mean, can't we do it? Just it's a jigsaw piece, you know. And the thing about Netflix, obviously, I haven't seen it. No one has, and it's sort of obviously it's going to be shaped to a certain extent by whoever they talk to, and they're not going to hear all voices. They're not going to hear, and obviously, you know, no one can speak for Prince, but it depends who they spoke to, and I hope they reached out to as many people as they possibly can to get lots of different input. But, you know, we need more depth. I feel like there's not enough people, you know, talking in depth about Prince's thing. There are a few people, but there's not enough. I see other fan bases with artists who I don't mean in a bad way, but I don't feel about them as I feel about Prince, who have, you know, this widespread in-depth analysis. We have a small group of people doing that, but I feel, you know, it needs to be much more. It needs to be much more. Oh, BB, the Strictly Come Dancing. Yes, I saw that earlier and it looked fresh. Was also watching This Is Us, and Prince got mentioned with Diamonds and Pearls. Jumped out of my bed. I love it. I love it when you see it on TV when people have got a Prince T-shirt or a poster or, you know, something Prince music is used. I just think it's an easy way to kind of get people into his music, and that's pretty cool. I like that. I always have something long-winded to say. Sorry, I'll try to get. Don't apologise, seriously. I'm worse. I'm the worst culprit of all. Mr. Ants will tell you that I will just talk his ear off, and he'll talk my ear off about Prince, and we'll just talk and talk and talk and talk, and we'll look at our watches, and it'll be 5 hours, 6 hours gone. And I just hope you'll forgive me rambling on here about Prince. It's you can't ever say everything about Prince that, you know, needs to be said. So don't apologize. I appreciate every one of you, and I just you know, I love you guys. Steve, Kiss 1999 on Strictly. Okay. I mean, I thought it would kind of be, the hits, 1999. Wow. See, Kiss would be quite a good Strictly Come Dancing song. 1999. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I feel like I should watch this now. I feel like I should watch this. I will go on BBC and I will watch that. Yes, you better start writing your questions. We've got the quiz soon. Get on writing your questions. Get back to work. Oh, it's very difficult writing questions. We found the hardest thing about writing questions for the Prince quiz at Christmas is you guys know too much. You're too good. We started off the first time we did it, and people were like, "Yeah, that's easy. We know that. And it's become harder and harder to find questions that are challenging, but it's all for fun. Our Christmas quiz, you know, in a couple of weeks, and you know, it's all for fun, and it doesn't matter if you don't know any of the questions or you know them all. It's just a chance to test your Prince knowledge for some fun. 27-inch waist, gorgeous ladies. Yes, yeah, 27. I know. I got Oprah. Prince's 27-inch waist. I can't even imagine. I wish. I think Prince moved through his latter years pretty gracefully. Less makeup, no wigs, dressing down a bit. I kind of admired him for that. I think it's interesting because when I saw him in 2014, he was wearing this white top and this kind of black, furry, I don't know what you call it, like a coat, like a waistcoat, but thick and furry. And he looked cool, and it was very simple. but it was classy, it was elegant, it was Prince, but it wasn't, it's done in a very kind of age appropriate way. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to have your photograph taken everywhere you go out in public and have, that kind of thing. And Prince, obviously, do you know what? Sometimes I think, you think of all the pictures you've seen of Prince in your lifetime. You think of all the pictures he's posed for, not just performing, but photo shoots and whatever. You think about the effort, the creativity that just went into his clothes, into designing his clothes, into those photo shoots, the phenomenal photographers, Jeff Katz, Randy St. Nicholas, Afshin Shahidi, endless amounts of phenomenally talented photographers. And you think about that, you think about the sheer amount of effort and talent it takes to do that. And his design, his ideas, and that's just one aspect of Prince. I mean, Prince was they said, he was the rock star, pop star, that he was never off duty. He was never not Prince. There's that famous story where he was helping someone move when he was like really young, starting out in his career, and he was wearing jeans or something, and somebody saw him and said, "That's not Prince. He wouldn't look like that." And from that day on, he said, I never wore, kind of like dressed down again. I always, dressed to the nines. And that's the thing about Prince. If it's 3 a.m. in the morning, Prince still looked amazing. Yes, we had this mentioned earlier, the immersive experience. I think you're right. I mean, me and Mr. Ants went to the My Name is Prince exhibition, as I said, in London a few years ago, and that was phenomenal. And it was brilliant to meet people, and it really, made a big difference to me to go there emotionally. It's quite moving. It was quite to be near those items that were so symbolic of Prince. I mean, they had the bat dance outfit, guitars, just to be there. And I think the immersive experience, again, to have not only a place for people to experience Prince, but also people will go who are not, Prince fans necessarily. They will go because it's an event, and I think that's true. It's just move it out. I'm not saying take it out of America, but I'm saying put it everywhere. It's really important to do that. Keep it touring. It'll do well. People would love to visit it. You put it in Holland, you put it in Germany, you put it in France, you put it in Britain. It will do well. It really will. I think that's true. If you'd have said to me at one point, would Prince be on social media in the way he was, I wouldn't have believed that. And I think also, I think there were times in his career when he was more open than other times. I mean, famously, Emancipation, which now you look back on it's a very, very difficult time for him in retrospect. But I think you're right. I think as he matured, he did reach out in some ways more, and he had that kind of banter with his fans. The thing is, he knew he was loved, and I think that's the thing. He got to that position, I think, with Piano and Microphone tour as well. I'm sure he knew before, but Piano and Microphone, and there's so much love for him. And when he opened up and he talked about his life, and he talked about his childhood and Vanity and his dad, and there's so much love for Prince and respect, and so much appreciation of what he was, that I think if I could wish for anything, I would wish and hope that Prince knew he was loved. I mean, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he knew he was loved, but I mean, not just in a kind of I saw a pop star kind of way, but in a real, as a person. He transformed so many lives. I know, I know, I won't name them because it's not for me to name, but I know a person who literally a Prince song saved their life. And they've talked about it, but that's what happened. And, he was a soundtrack. He's been the soundtrack to my life through every good thing, every bad thing, every relationship end, everything. He's been the soundtrack to that. And there's not an emotion that can't be expressed through a Prince song. So, I think I always wanted Prince to be himself, and I think he became even more open as time went on. Oh, what's this? Here's a treasure. I don't know if I should let fans discover it for themselves, but in the video for When Doves Cry towards the end, he does that mirror thing effect on the video. Think about what that signifies. That's like an Easter egg. You've got a secret Easter egg, everybody. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Scholar by accident. I should put that on my business card. I should see what this is a quote from Modern Air. Any friend that steps deeper and studies and tries to see what he's saying with his art is already a scholar by accident. I mean, Edgar is beyond a scholar. He's a mainframe computer bank of Prince information. It's crazy. When you look at some of the Prince threads on Twitter, the Prince Twitter threads, DJ, UMB, Edgar, just it's incredible. And the influences and the connections they make. And every time I read a thread they do, I think I would never have made that connection, or I never would have linked that to that. And it's just amazing, especially when different people can come at Prince song at different ways and just, oh, yeah. I think about Prince's death every day almost, but if you do a deep investigation into how serious illicit fentanyl is, a grain of salt size can kill you. How can you ever find evidence? Yeah, it's that's the thing. I mean, it's part of a bigger issue, isn't it, in America, and I'm sure lots of other countries. Fentanyl is it's an epidemic, and yeah, it's the agony of what people are going through throughout other countries is just extraordinary, really extraordinary. Oh, let's see. All we have is Prince's actions. And again, if you step deeper, especially, for example, when he built his own recording studio and performing complex, that meant something. There was a significant change. It's really interesting because I was watching a film about Charlie Chaplin, the famous film Chaplin, with Robert Downey Jr. And there's a moment when he steps into this new studio he's bought. It's this empty space. It's all about potential. I think that with Prince, he created Paisley Park, and he always seemed so thankful for it. He said he always thanked Warner Brothers for putting him in a position where he could create Paisley Park, and the fact that he stayed there after that all that time, and the fact that he had that freedom, and that was so important to him. I've always said that Prince put his money where his music was, and I think that's really true. Prince, somebody said, if you're a rock star and you spend it on Ferraris and women and booze, whatever you want to spend it on, but Prince primarily spent his big money went on his music and his stage shows. It went on that. Prince could have been a lot richer than he was, but he put his money into that music. I mean, Paisley Park cost a fortune to keep functioning, and it flexed, and sometimes it had more staff there and sometimes they didn't. But I think that was a real investment in the way he wanted to operate, and it gave him that creativity. And I think that's probably where he was happiest. I think that's probably where he spent some of his, happiest times. There's no question. No question. Gorgeous lady. I could tell you stories until you get tired, to play with your mind, but you probably say that I was a liar, so I won't waste your time. Do you know what? I love that lyric so much. The weird thing is, I don't know about you, but whenever I read a lyric, I instantly hear the track in my head. I can't hear it without the track. It's really weird. It is always good to check in. Always check in with your friends. Do you know what? It doesn't have to be much. Just give them a text, say you're thinking about them, give them a quick phone call, buy them a little something, whatever. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but just, a lot of people are going through a lot of hard times at the moment, and it's not good at the moment in lots of places, and just any little thing you can do, because not only you'll help them, but it's just going to make the world that little bit better. How much money would it take to create a 1,000% accurate biopic about Prince? More money than Netflix probably have. That's how much money I reckon. It would cost a fortune. I mean, how long would it be? You could have a series on each year. I mean, also, how do you get the accuracy? I mean, how? It depends who you interview. Some people who work with Prince are very happy to talk about it, and that's cool. Susan Rogers talks about things. Her time with Prince, Wendy and Lisa, but then there are some people you don't hear of as much. Femi, who was an engineer, don't hear always necessarily huge amounts sometimes from perhaps Jerome Bentham as much, or there's various people you hear from more than other people, and there's so many eras to Prince. You'd have to talk to so many people, and not everybody does talk about it, but it's an impossible task. I'll be honest. I don't think we would ever be perfectly happy with a biopic. I think if we saw things we didn't know about, if we saw perhaps actual work of Prince's we didn't know about, that would be something. But I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I just hope it's done as well as possibly they can do it. My Name's Prince underperformed in Europe. I wonder how that affects the chances of immersive experience coming to Europe. Yeah, it's really strange because we certainly supported it quite a lot. Whenever we went, it was busy. In London, I don't know about anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, it's strange. It's certainly when we went, it was queues. It depended when you went, but it should have perhaps. I didn't see huge amounts of advertising for it when I was there. It was very much it was there, and there wasn't massive amounts. But yeah, I really hope, because to me that's got to be an advertising thing, because in the UK Prince is incredibly well respected and well thought of. Obviously in Holland he's also much loved. So I really hope they can do that. I'm really surprised. I mean, I don't know how they determine what's a good performance and what isn't, but yeah, I mean, most people I know went more than once, and VIP section and things like that, and we bought merch and we tried everything we could to do it. It would be a shame if the previous exhibition would affect the chances of the immersive experience touring. Have to admit, I went twice, and the second time there's literally only a handful of people. Ah, that's interesting. Yes, he did. Yes, I remember now. Yes. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it's a really good experience. You had the bit of the stage. You had so much going on. It was London for, I can't remember how long it was in London for. It was a fair while. But yeah, that's the shame. I mean, with the right advertising, I can't see why it wouldn't be popular. But then I think it's also part of this bigger picture, isn't it? We need to raise the public sort of what would you call it? The presence of Prince. He needs to be more. What's the word? Sort of just he needs to be ubiquitous. He needs to be everywhere in a sense. He needs to be in a lot of different things at once. They need to really push the image of Prince and Prince's work and get it out there more than I think. The estate obviously has been going through things, but it's been too quiet. There are some things. Not everything has to be a big project. Like I said, you can do little, small wins, various things that can make a big difference and just get Prince's work out there, whether it's in movies, whether it's on TV, whether it's a live concert, whether it's just stuff on the website. There is no reason where you can't drop a little thing every week, quite frankly, with the amount of Prince's work that he did. you could drop a little thing each week. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but a little thing, even a small live recording of a song, even an unreleased version, something you really could drive people to that website. So every week they've kind of got a little treat. And do you know what? It drives me spare. It's Christmas and there's no project to buy. There's some silk scarves and some merch, but there's no project. There should never, ever, ever be an end of the year when there isn't a range of Prince projects to buy, whether it's a live show or whatever. It shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen. No one had creativity like Prince. No one. Just no one. I mean, there are things that Prince did, like If I Was Your Girlfriend, obviously playing those keyboards backwards and recording them and just slowing things down, and the drum programming. No one programmed a drum machine like Prince. No one. Who are you? Just think of doing things that no one else would think of doing. There's something strange that it's otherworldly almost that Prince. I know Prince worked a lot during the nighttime, and I sometimes think, something in the small hours just kind of made this creativity even more finely honed, and it's amazing. I mean, especially when you think of some tracks like who else will come up with There's Others Here With Us? I mean, There's Others Here With Us. It's such a spooky song. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's quite interesting you mentioned Gemini, because at the My Name Is Prince exhibition, that's what we obviously saw, the Bat Dance outfit, the kind of Gemini. And Prince had so many different aspects to him. He was so good at so many things. Now, obviously, some of it's talent, a lot of it's a huge amount of work, but also I think Prince was just a very, very intelligent person. He was just very able and very bright. And they said that whenever you had a meeting with a Prince, he left knowing more than you did. He would pick things up. He would understand things. He would intuitively just somebody explained something or how they did something, he would take it to the next level. He would take their idea and alter it and move it, and he would just add those things on. Prince had a kind of very much outside the box thought process, and I had the same experience as Edgar. I was in front of the screens they were playing Super Bowl, and they had these big screens where they played the Super Bowl performance. And, it hit me. It really hit me. I wasn't expecting it. And I was just, maybe it just hit me that he wasn't here anymore. Maybe it just hit me seeing all the things. It was a poignant experience. When it's important, really important that I went, but it was a mixture of joy and sadness, because I know there'll never be anyone like Prince again, and I know that there'll never be someone who is so talented at so many different things. And I think, in a sense, he moved so fast and so creative that it's going to take us decades to catch up and fully appreciate what he did. I mean, you go to an art gallery, people are still every day appreciating geniuses of art like Monet or Picasso or Manet or whatever. They really Gauguin. They every day they appreciate those things. But I think we're like that with Prince. We almost don't. It's almost too much going on that you have to really step back and realize how much he created and how much genius there was. And I think that's why it's so important we get stuff out there, and so important 2023 has got to be a good year. The estate need to get on with it. They've got a lot of work to do. They need to move ahead, and they need to be on the same page. They can't. No more lawyers, no more disagreements, no more arguing, no more different things. Just get on the same page and work, because this is a full-time job. People should be doing stuff every day. Social media should be pushing prints every day. Social media should be, and they should be putting stuff on the website. They should be putting stuff in film. They should be every day. They should say, right, what have you done today, the Prince estate, to ensure Prince's legacy grows today? What have you done today? You know, it's not just about the money. They have a much bigger responsibility, and that responsibility is to Prince. They owe Prince the right to have all he created appreciated and cherished, and they owe him that. It's not about money. I'm sure they'll make money, you know, but and I know, you know, that's why the business is in it, but it's bigger than that. It's an artistic legacy to the world, and just like with the great, you know, painters of time, he could be appreciated in hundreds of years' time. So it's really important to do that. And I think we started off well, but we've stalled, and we need to get back on it now. We really do, you know. It's such a weird song, you know, that kind of like they have this kind of effect. It's like from the films. It's almost like from the film Psycho. It's kind of like screeching, and it's just it's one of those tracks that if you listen to on your own at night, it's I wouldn't. It's too weird. It's and there's like crying in the background, and I mean, who comes up with that sort of stuff? Who does that? As Peach and Blackwood used to say, who does that? I mean, it's such a freaky song. It's such a freaky song. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, me and Mr. Ants got into Prince pretty much the same time. We both got into Prince at the Batman era. And to see the Batman costume that we'd seen on television and the video so many times, and to see it at the exhibition, you know, it was just such a poignant moment. And I never thought I'd see that. And it was just, yeah, it's, I hope they do tour. And I think, you know what, it's part of a bigger picture. We need to embrace fans, like I said, across the world. It drives me mad when they do things at Paisley Park. I know they want people to go to Paisley Park. Brilliant. But some people can't afford it. Some people can't go. Do a live stream. Andy Allo used to do these live streams where you would pay what you could afford. So I can't remember what it's called, but she would basically do a concert, and Andy Allo would say, if you can afford $1, pay $1, $5, $10, you know, what you can afford. And I think that's the thing they need to do with Paisley. Say, look, we're going to stream these concerts, or we're going to stream an exhibition showing you around, or stream some event or something, or even discussions from Paisley, and just chip in. Send us a couple of quid, or whatever you can afford, or, you know, or if you can't afford it, don't. But just to keep that going, and to keep the connection from Paisley Park to people who can't go there, because some people are never going to be able to afford to go there, and for some people it's too far away, it's too much money, and, you know, those concerts should be made available. And do you know what? Fine, if you want, it's a different experience when you see it in person at Paisley Park, I'm sure, and that's fine. But then release the concert later on for other people to see, or live stream. You know, if they came out with a live stream tonight and said, right, we're going to go and show you around a bit of Paisley Park, or we're going to talk about a couple of items. It doesn't have to be a lot. We're going to talk about some various things in Paisley Park. Do that. Reach out to the whole planet. You know, it's just such an easy thing to do, I think. But the music technology at the time he was making music, especially in the 80s, for a lot of creativity. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Fairlight inspired others who are with us. That's the thing, because Prince, whilst he used the tools, you know, the Fairlight and other things to make the music, often the music inspired him. There's samples you think of on Pop Life and various other things where technology actually, you know, helps create the songs. In a sense, he says, what is this technology capable of? What can it do? And if I work out what it can do, then I can kind of use that. And I think you're right. Some of that experimenting, I'd love to see how that developed, how he plays about with it. And they said that Prince would run pedals through various things and do different things and things that you weren't really meant to do, but he would just work out different ways of doing it. And I think you're right. I think that's not talked about enough, actually, how technology inspired some of the stuff that Prince helped his creative process. I think that's a fascinating point, actually. That's a very fascinating point. I should make Others Here With Us a Halloween single. Why not? I mean, I was on Twitter the other day and they said that obviously there's a huge, I think every year, like Halloween, Michael Jackson gets a huge bump in people listening to it because of Thriller. And, why not have a Prince Halloween single? Diana, release the Dirty Mind tour and introduce Prince to a new audience. Once they see him, it's over. Which is a damn tour. Sorry, not the Dirty Mind tour. Whenever I see DM, I always think Dirty Mind, but you're right. Do you know what? You're right. Just look at Prince live. Oh, it drives me spare. It just drives me spare because there's so many concerts. I'm sorry, I'm going on, but just get people to see him. That's the hook. Get him to see those concerts and it's best quality you can. Get him to see him. Casper. Yes, I had the same experience. Where is everyone? I went twice to the expo in Bird of Bellage. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Bought your book in the shop there. Thanks for writing. You bought Edgar's book. Wow. That's amazing. Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. I mean, not fantastic that, there wasn't loads of people there, but I'm saying fantastic that you bought Edgar's book and people should. But that's interesting. I mean, that's interesting because, I always think of certain places, Britain and Holland, as very kind of big Prince supporting bases. So, yeah. Vicky waiting. How's two of my fave Prince YouTubers? Edgar and Mr. Ants are fine. Oh, bless you. We are very good. I'm surviving sore throat, but I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I love you guys. I do. His early tours are brilliant. He and the band were so eager, and that vibe is still palpable 40 years later. This is the other thing. I mean, get some Dirty Mind tours, get some controversy tours. I love that kind of stage play. And also, I love it because Prince wasn't, he was, like Edgar said, he was so eager and so sort of buoyed up with kind of energy, but also he was still working out his stagecraft. He wasn't 100% like perfected. He was working out ideas, and I think seeing those shows, seeing Dirty Mind tour, seeing first of all, I can't get over how much he changed between the Dirty Mind tour and the Controversy tour and 1999 tour. Each tour he changed dramatically, but you're right, that kind of vibrancy. You always loved what he did, but there was something about the early tours. He was just it's just phenomenal. And I think Controversy, really, that tour became much more theatrical, and that kind of that led the way, I think, eventually to Purple Rain and things like that. So I think that's that's a really key point. And get all the tours out there. There's so many tours, like you say, we don't hear about the Love for One Another charities tour. We don't the Act 2 tour. There's some tours we don't get to sort of New Power Soul. We just don't sort of that era. We don't get to see them, and they should all be out there. Every era should be out there. It can't just be Purple Rain. Oh well, this is worth knowing anyway. Fantastic, brilliant. Oh wow. A follow-up will be written in 2023. That's what my Prince year will contain. A lot of work for Edgar. Oh wow. Oh, fantastic. Oh well, Edgar, you got 2 sales there already, so fantastic. Oh, brilliant. That's so good. Oh, the reaction to Prince videos on YouTube coming to fruition and an increase in diverse enjoyment of his music. Do you know what? That's the thing. There's such I saw quite a few react to videos recently, and there's two things that really I enjoyed. First of all, people weren't just choosing the obvious ones. I saw somebody do react to videos to the Truth album, which is fantastic. And I think, these were not well known Prince stuff, and that is really interesting to me. It's not just the big songs. Somebody I saw listening to Lady Cab Driver for the first time, which, can you imagine listening to Lady Cab Driver for the first time, and the kind of Jill Jones bit and the kind of hit. I love it because sometimes they're listening to Prince songs like that or something in the water, and they sort of, you can see their mind going, what's this? What's that? Or Do Me Baby. But second of all, what I love about it is that just really watching the joy of somebody experiencing Prince's work for the first time, or experiencing a certain track for the first time, and just watching them be blown away. A lot of the react to videos are literally people going, it's like they're just taken aback. They're so shocked. They're so, Prince lets it out. He screams, he shouts, he's this passion. And I just think, I love watching that. And to me, that is something I hadn't really thought about until a few months ago. And I saw so many people sort of listening to Prince, and they would listen to a different Prince track each time. And hopefully we'll get to a stage where we'll be able to understand what the YouTube rules are, because Mr. Ants was doing a video recently and he got about 5 copyright issues in about 2 seconds, and some people can play whole songs. I don't know what the deal is, but as long as they sort it out, I just think it's a really good key way into a younger demographic when they can, that's how they often discover artists they watch somebody reacting to on a Prince video. And I think that's a key thing. That's a really, really interesting thing. Vicky Waiting, actually, that's one of the people I've seen. Luke HBK. Yes. Do Me Baby, Lady Cab Driver. I think that's one of the ones I've seen. And do you know what? It's just, it's funny to see the kind of, because some things Prince does on record, you don't realize, until someone else listens to it for the first time, how out there it is. And how that's the thing I always admire about Prince, is that from what I understood, he recorded most of his vocals sitting down, and he would, this could be 2 or 3 in the morning. And I think it's something people have noticed, that they said people who were close to him said it would be 2 or 3 in the morning, and he'd be screaming, singing screams, whatever. He has that kind of ability to let himself go. He's unrestrained. He doesn't hold anything back. He's not just a singer giving a performance, he's giving his soul, and he gives it all, and it's out there. And I think from the delicate whispers in your ear, from, those piercing falsettos, the deep baritone, Prince he sung from his chest, from his being. And yeah, you can't beat that. You really can't beat that. I agree. He was working towards something. And I think in those early Dirty Mind and Controversy tours, it was like he was reaching something that he finally hit in 1999. It's true. You see the progression and the confidence. I mean, to be fair, you've got to be pretty confident in Dirty Mind to sort of go out, to dance about in your briefs as it is, I'm sure. But also the Controversy tour became very dramatic, a lot of themes, religion, the concept of God, sexuality. And then 1999, like I say, 1999 hit that kind of 1999 Purple Rain run. He was really working out his stagecraft and his jumping about and going on speakers, and he was really working how to draw the audience in, and he has this magnetism. And you can see, stagecraft is not something really that anyone is born with. It's something you have to develop, work, hone. And I think, yeah, you're right. I love seeing that, because that's Prince at a very not raw, but kind of very, still a lot of development going on. So yes, I think that's true. That's a really good point. I mean, I don't know what the plan is for the estate, even less so now. But so far, they've focused on basically the biggest selling things, which I suppose from a commercial standpoint is what they've gone for. But they've gone for Purple Rain, they've gone for 1999, they've gone for Sign of the Times. They've gone generally, I mean, obviously not so much Welcome to America, but generally they've gone for the big selling albums. And there was talk about Diamonds and Pearls coming out, but there's issues with that. But they've gone for the big selling albums, and I think that's the thing. You don't necessarily get the development, the story. I mean, I know it's still there, but we have to be careful in terms of, like I said, the chronology, because it's a journey. We've all said, me and Mr. Answer said, it's like it's a journey, and each journey is a page, and it doesn't make sense without all the pages. You have to have that whole journey to appreciate all the things that Prince did. And I think that's crucial. And I think sometimes we do miss bits by jumping about, and we miss developments, and we miss bits like you see Sign of the Times tour, where he starts wearing polka dots and he starts moving into the Sign of the Times material. And throughout his career, it's a progression and a development. And I think you're right. I think the story needs to be available somewhere where you understand the development. I mean, I think listening to the albums in order is essential. It really is. Yes, indeed. What Prince song has you laughing out loud whenever you hear it? There's a few. He did Thank You Just the Same, which is like he recorded it for an awards acceptance, but it's basically quite funny. But it runs off the main riff of My Medallion. My Medallion makes me laugh. My Medallion is funny. Movie Star, obviously, that's funny, definitely. Oh God, I mean, probably My Medallion, the Movie Star. I think. There's probably loads more that I haven't thought of, but I don't know. Well, from what I've heard, that it's ready, but it's been stopped for whatever reason. That's a pain. I'm not personally a huge fan of putting Diamonds and Pearls with the Symbol album. I think they both deserve their own standalone release. I think they're both enough material, enough live shows, and especially with Diamonds and Pearls, the amount of remixes and maxi singles. I think there's enough material to do two. I don't think it should be put together. There's talk about Diamonds and Pearls and Symbol being put together, and I don't think there's a need to do that. I don't think you need to. I mean, bearing in mind Diamonds and Pearls is one of the biggest selling albums Prince ever did. I think it's a bit strange, but even so, it's fully there. But the change of management, well, I say management, the kind of change between the family and the estate obviously means it's a bit in flux at the moment. I mean, there's different voices. Charles Spicer's talking about various things, and there's Sharon Nelson, but they've got to be on the same page, because not only all the family have got to be on the same page, but the family have got to be on the same page with Primary Wave. So on one hand, they said the estate is settled, but on the other hand, it's balanced. So I don't know how settled I would call that, because there's no clear direction necessarily. I mean, let's just hope 2023 shows a clear direction. Definitely that's the one thing I want more than anything. What do you want, skit in Vibrator has me laughing out loud every time. I love body massager, please. Actually, I got to add to my list chili sauce. We were reviewing chili sauce on our time review. I've just put it up on my channel. It's on Mr. Ant channel 2. We're reviewing ice cream castles, and chili sauce is quite hilarious with Prince as the waiter. He's It's just brilliant. Morris Day and Prince is the Way to Chili Sauce is yeah, but you're right. The vibrator sketch is just oh, don't play that out loud in public though, because yeah, you're gonna get some looks. Yeah. La 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 he. Oh, I love the idea that came from a challenge. Like, can you make a song out of this? But la 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 he. Yeah, I can see that. Only Prince would do that, wouldn't he? He just loves that idea of a challenge, doesn't he? You can't just make a song out of, oh, you bet I can. Well, maybe not the right. That's such a great line. There's a live performance when he does the he does the kind of psycho music. It's like, show me the ride, it's okay. And you're like, it's brilliant. It's you smashed up the ride. Oh no, it's brilliant. See, I mean that's what I think. I personally think they should be separate. I really think there's enough material for both of them to be separate with live shows and various things. And I think also the symbol era. You've even got the cartoon, the comic book. So I mean, there's so many things. I think they should be separate. I think there's enough there separate. There's no need to ram them together. I don't know why, but we shall see. I was going to ask who is the here we go. Sorry. I want to know from BB now what the song is. I want to know what song that cracks you up. I want to know. The Estate is just picking the most popular ones, but to follow up Sign of the Times Super Deluxe should have been Love Sexy with a Black Album, so you can see the contrast transition of a larger story. You're right. We've said visually the Black Album and Love Sexy would be phenomenal. It would look, imagine the artwork you could do with that, the light and dark, the good and bad, the good and evil. Imagine that. That would be an amazing set with the black and the white, the contrast, the dichotomy, God, sex, religion, passion. I really want to see that. I really want to see that. I would just, I think it's just such an amazing album and such an amazing story. And I think it's something people could really draw into, because they'll talk about when Prince made that decision, to cancel it, and there's a lot of controversy, a lot of stories can be written about it, and get Prince into the press. And I really did. The story, it's true. It's a story, and if you take out chapters of a story or pages of a book, it's not going to work. You've got to have the whole thing. You've got to experience the whole thing, because otherwise you're watching a film and just missing out chunks everywhere. It's just, oh, bless you, Vicky. It's all Mr. Ant. All the good stuff's Mr. Ant, and all the mistakes are mine. And Mr. Ant does a lot of work on this and on the reviews for the albums. And bless him, he's saved my bacon, as they say in the UK, many times. He's helped me out and done phenomenal work. So yeah, I don't have a brother, but he's the closest thing I've got. It's true. This is very true. It's very true. I don't know why they do it, but they do. And you're right. They can't keep doing that with Prince, just jumping about. You're right. I want to feel I've got as much as I can. Tony, got to go. Yes. I realise it's 11 o'clock. I need to go soon. I should go soon. Oh dear. But it's really good to see you, Tony. And I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. I really do. And hopefully we'll see you at the quiz, whenever that will be. And I hope you get some days off. Definitely. Evacuating. The Act 1-2 tours need to be released if they have footage separate. Diamonds and Pearls tour. True. I mean, that's the thing. They filmed the Diamonds and Pearls tour. You can tell from the VHS. They filmed loads of that, and yeah, absolutely. Love Sexy should definitely be back. It should be next. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, it's just exceptional. I should let you go soon because it's I realize I thought I've been talking for a little bit. It's nearly 2 hours. Once I start talking about Prince, I can't stop. But I just want to say, if I don't get the chance, just to say thank you to everybody this year, and I hope you all have an amazing Christmas. I've got a few videos coming out before Christmas. We're going to be doing the Christmas quiz with Mr. Ant and a few other things. But I just want to say thank you. Just wanted to hope you have an amazing Christmas. I hope you get peace and happiness and have all the things you want. But also, I just really want you to kind of just have an amazing end of the year because you're all amazing people, and you make the community what it is. And Edgar's see, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, it is a story. It's an interesting arc, and I don't think that trilogy gets talked about enough. And I think that's something I'd really like to get into. I think the Act 2 is very overlooked. I remember at the time, thinking about it, and I really, really, think it's so overlooked at the moment. It's just, I'm going to go in a minute, I promise. Now, I want to know what BB's song that cracks her up was, and the Freaks doing everything they want to do now. That is, that is. I do love that. I love that kind of like. You can reach me on your video phone, and that's my 2 bloody cents. It's just it's something about now. It's funny. It's yeah. Just so many great lines in that. It just makes me think of the performance, or the video of it. Just oh, I've got to play that now. I've got to play that now. I really do. Oh dear. Should be separate. Fantastic. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely should be separate. And thank you, Vicky. I think you're absolutely right. I just maybe they will. Maybe they'll change their mind. I hope so. I really, really, really hope so, because I think that would be just fantastic. Yes. Yes, that's the thing. It's a great story. It's a kind of epic drama, isn't it? It's an epic drama. It really is. See, if Edgar agrees, then that's it. That's a consensus. Fantastic. Brilliant. All right. Well, you take care, and I will see you soon. There's another video coming out in a couple of days, and I just want to say thank you. You're my guys, and I hope you all have an amazing Christmas, and I hope you get spoiled, and I hope you have loads of food, and you have everything you want. I mean it. You have a happy Christmas. Thank you.